All right, we are now recording. Um, I know we have a small group here with us, so hopefully I can get your guys' participation as we go through here. Um, and I can kind of let you know what's going to happen, what you need to do for this week's assignment. Before I begin, do you guys have any questions? Wouldn't mind put it in the chat, that'd be great. Okay, seeing none. If you do, please let me know. Let's go through a couple things. So in your course, you have all the recordings, okay, that are posted at the very beginning here. If you go to plan, you can kind of see what's coming up due. Everything's due on basically Monday, okay? So today's the 21st, so we have our next assignment, which is the police components worksheet that will be due. So you only have one thing due this week. The prior days you had like a quiz and something else. So if you come into here, you will see what you need to do. The worksheet's just right here. You can just copy it and then submit it into a document as you go through this. Now, where to find the answers to this, it's going to be right here, okay? So if you click on that, it'll open to a PDF, and you can actually just download that PDF and search a little bit if that helps you better, or however you'd like to do it, okay? But that is talking about kind of the basic activities of law enforcement, training, that kind of stuff, okay? And how they're able to do things. So without further ado, let's start on our lesson. So just so you know, this lesson will be recorded for learning purposes. And then also some expectations if you just follow along on the Nearpod. If you wouldn't mind answering, they said we got a small group here, so anybody that would answer would be great, or we're going to be kind of stuck with nothing. Those that you just joined us, I did put in there the link to the Nearpod, so you can jump in on this. All right, so let's start going. So there's a lot of different, I guess, components, as I guess what they call it, in law enforcement. One of the things is the writing of field notes, and it's pretty important. As you can see kind of what's going on, there's a lot of criticism being taken by the police today. And if you do not have these field reports, they have videos, that kind of stuff to see what's going on, you have no idea. They have no idea what happened, okay? If it's not written down, it never happened, okay? So here's just some highlights. So good field notes lead to good report writing and follow-up for more complete investigations, okay? So one hang-up that a police may do may get somebody that is guilty off because they did not do their due diligence. Report forms. All law enforcement agencies provide forms that indicate what information is needed and what is the format and they're presenting in them, okay? So they need to use the correct forms. They need to be able to complete and write it out legibly. Report forms, there's a lot that are on them. If you see them, you'll see one that has like case number, the date of the occurrence that it happened, the status of the case, if it's active, inactive, cleared, unfounded, that kind of stuff. The name and rank of the investigating officer, the crime or activity classification, persons involved, like a narrative of what happened, and the official action that was taken, and final status of the report. Should include like be able to get in contact with the officer and stuff like that. Report organization, okay? They go through what's called a power format is how they do it. So planning for the report, organizing the material, writing the report, and then evaluate and then rewrite. Just like you've probably done in some of your English classes when you're writing a paper or anything like that. you have to write a rough draft, and then you need to look it over and make sure it's good, have other people do it. Because these reports are going to be preserve information that's going down, record official actions that were taken, justify these actions, aid in the further investigation. Okay. So here's some things that there's always something emergency equipment that police officers use. There's quite a bit out there. You've probably seen most law enforcement, they wear some type of belt that has usually a stun gun on it, pepper spray, handgun, handcuffs, everything like that that you can kind of think of, okay? Radio. So there's different emergency equipment. One of the things that's very big that you need is the radio. So code 3 or 1039 is that basically the use to be able to use your emergency lights or sirens. Okay, police officers shouldn't be allowed to abuse that power. Okay, Utah law agency policies that restrict certain things. So when you do turn your lights on, that kind of stuff, people should get over to the side of the road. You're able to go through intersections that are red lights in order to get to a situation immediately as fast as you can. Pursuit driving. Okay, this is something that the police officers, especially highway patrol, they actually train on this quite a bit. Is they do like a defensive driving course where they actually have their course. The highway patrol has it down in Lehigh by I think Camp Williams is what it's called. But you could go out there, and I mean, you can't go up to there, but you can see that they go and they race around the track, work on different obstacles, that kind of stuff, and be able to practice high-speed chases and stuff like that. Okay, so I think that's kind of a lot of the stuff. You're going to have a lot of training that you have to go through if you become a police officer. Okay, so many officers are actually killed in traffic accidents and other activities that they involve, like the pursuit of somebody else. I went to a driver's ed conference so many years ago, and there was a gentleman there that was highway patrol, and he was talking about defensive driving, and he actually pulled somebody over to the side of the road. He got out of his car, was helping the individual that had a flat tire, and as he was helping the individual with the flat tire, there was a lady that spilled coffee on her pants while she was driving and swerved and hit him and flipped him up and over the car. He broke a lot of his legs. It took years to recover, and he's still not fully recovered from it. Okay, so there's a lot of things in there, and he used a lot of vulgar terms. But anyways, it just shows you kind of how important it is to just be safe and stuff. Okay, command structure. Okay, so there is a command structure that you need to follow, just kind of like around like military lines. You do have your higher ups, your captains, that kind of stuff, and it goes down to whoever you would look to. Those that are more expertise in certain areas will be put in certain areas. With county officials, like the sheriff's office, the county sheriff's office, the sheriff is usually an elected position. So that's someone that you actually elect to that position. And so it's something of note that some of them are elected. Okay, there's certain radio procedures. We kind of already talked a little bit about radio procedures, but these ones are governed by the department, right? So they can hear everything that's going on. All radio transmissions are preceded by the call unit identification number of the car, okay? Their car number. There's 3 beeps on the unit's radio, means there's an emergency information that will proceed. And then they use 10 code is used for a shortened radio traffic or transmission of security. So I don't know if anybody's ever been pulled over and then they get a radio call and there's 3 beeps, boop, boop, boop. That means there's an emergency in process and they'll probably let you go at that point in time. Okay, here's some commonly known 10 codes. So there's a 10-4, which is acknowledgement or okay. 10-20 is your current location. Your 10-21 is make a phone call. 10-27 is driver's license check. 10-28 is vehicle registration check. 10-29 is warrants check. 10-33 is officers needs help quickly. 10-40 is no lights or sirens used. 10-41 is on duty. 10-42 is off duty. 10-50 is a traffic accident. A 10-60 is out of traffic violator. And of course, they have a lot more. Okay, this video that we're going to watch here kind of shows the training that police officers go through in order to be able to become a police officer. So if this is something that interests you, this will be a program, the peace officer training that you have to attend. All right, so pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys have ever been pepper sprayed or tased before, but doesn't sound like fun, as you can see here. Okay. All right, so let's talk about some other things. I mean, they had so many different trainings in there. but all of it is so much needed, right? And they're even talking about even today's police officers with all these different things going on. You know, how do you make decisions, snap decisions, and be okay with it, right? So let's talk about these things. So, for example, the use of force. So the use of force in making an arrest is set forth by state law and must at all times be reasonable. Okay. Any use of force needs to be documented and initial report. All roadblocks, if used, must have an escape route, even if it is a dangerous one. Okay. There's force levels. Okay. So some of them were kind of mentioned there. You got mere presence. Okay. So just being there as a presence of police officers give people anxiety, right? And so that's what they would call level 4. So you got verbal commands telling them to do something. You have hands-on physical contact. Pepper spray, as you kind of see that um, every police officer that goes through the training actually needs to get pepper sprayed themselves so they know how it feels, right? Probably don't want to do that unless it's absolutely necessary, okay? Impact weapons, okay? Canines, and then also the use of deadly force. So the use of firearms, police carry firearms so that they can protect themselves and the community. They may only be used under a very specific set of circumstances outlined in law. The firearm will not be removed from the holster except for use, inspection, or storage. Never removed to show off or tell others. The use of firearms continued. Officers can only carry firearms authorized by the department, so it has to be a certain type. Officers must remain qualified on those firearms if carried. Pistol proficiency course is a timed and scored shoot on a known distance range. This is common training for all firearms qualifications. So you have to go and train in order to the use of deadly force. Deadly force can only be used under the following following circumstances: carrying out a lawful execution, to protect self and others, to make an arrest or stop escape of someone when there is a probable cause to believe a significant threat of death or physical injury exists. The last one, to prevent the escape of some prisoners. Using deadly force is a split-second decision, and that's why it's so hard when we're looking at all these different things that are coming up of what is right and what's wrong, right? Combat shooting. So the firing a weapon from a proactive position or cover. Procedures utilized for combat shooting firearms related. So there's drawing the weapon, gripping it, your stance, your cover, your breathing, your sighting, pulling the trigger, and scanning an area. If you've ever actually shot a firearm before, you'll know that all of those are important to be able to have accuracy and be able to do it. And it takes a lot of practice and time on there. Okay. All right, let's go to what our assignment is today. So if you go to the main course here, you'd go to content, and you'll go to, as soon as you go to content, you'll have this thing right there. So what you'll need to do is you're going to need to do this week's worksheet, which is police components worksheet. You're just going to create a Google Doc or a Word document and then submit that to me. I need to actually put it up so you can see it now. Okay, so it should be visible to you guys now. You should be able to go in and do it. But you just answer these questions, right? If you want to copy and put it over, or you can just go list it, 1 to 12 and answer the questions, right? So for example, The first one says, good field notes are an aid to memory, right? True or false, right? And you can find all of these in this right here, law enforcement components. It'll bring up this PDF, and you can find the answers in here. Okay. All right, that ends our lesson for today. That is your assignment slash dash exit ticket. Do you guys have any questions? Okay. If you don't have any questions, you guys can go. All right. Thanks, Emerson. You can go and just kind of work on that for this week. Appreciate your time.